and welcome back to another wrap-up. I am Gabby, in case you didn't know that yet, and these are all the books that I read in the month of June, which has just flown by me personally. I don't know about you, but anyway, read quite a few books, so there are quite a few things to talk about. I shall, as always, jump into the ones I don't have physical copies of for any reason at this particular moment in time. First off, I have The Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill, and this is a graphic novel that's been getting quite a bit of hype on BookTube lately. I think it also won some awards, so naturally I was interested, especially with a title like this. I will let you know, I was not disappointed. I'm so used to giving, and now I finally get to receive. It's what I deserve. It's beautiful. This is basically a graphic novel about a little girl who's just strolling around town. Her mother is a blacksmith, so she's trying to teach the little girl the trade to keep the tradition going, even though it's not as popular as it used to be. The girl is a bit reticent. She's more into this forward-thinking way of the kids. And then she finds this little lost tree dragon, and she decides to take it back to the owner, and as a thank you, and also because the tea dragon that normally doesn't really like people has been weirdly attached to the little girl, he invites her to come back and help look after the tea dragons, and they form a tea dragon society. It's all about learning that there is value in tradition and the old ways, and it's very sad to see all these customs go because of the modern times. And also I think it's got this odd little adventure story undertone to it and flashbacks, and also possibly teaches kids about the environment and protecting that. I don't know, I may be reaching and overthinking this, but either way, whether you want to take it as a surface level story or read deeper into it, it is so wonderful and so heartwarming. And I do believe I requested something else by the author as well, just because I was so charmed by this, and also has one of the most beautiful artworks I've seen in a long time. So overall, I'm just really digging this story. And I've also read, again, Better by Christine Riccio, who you may or may not know as BookTube's very own Poland Bananas books. Very exciting. And the book just sounded like something that would really appeal to me potentially, so I was so excited to read this. I booked myself a trip to London, and the main character in the book, Shane, she moves to London as a 20-year-old in a study exchange program type thing, just to get away from her life because her college experience back home hadn't been really successful. I also do not have a very successful college experience, believe it or not. Anyway, so she goes to London, she meets a boy, she makes some friends, she has some adventures. There's a really quirky paranormal type element thrown in that I didn't see coming. I don't know if other people actually, read reviews or a synopsis or anything and did, but I didn't, so it was very interesting to have that. And I feel like this is the kind of book that has the potential to mean a lot to a lot of people. To me, I think maybe I would have benefited from it having come out earlier in my life, but either way, I read it as a really good holiday kind of read. I was on my own, I was stuck in the airport for ages, I was commuting, so it was a charming vacation book. It's definitely the kind of contemporary type story you would enjoy if you like Stephanie Perkins and all of that Sarah Dessen type of thing. It's a really cute, fluffy, lighthearted contemporary with a bit more substance underneath. I feel like I personally would have enjoyed if the deeper things would have been dived into more, but either way, I think there was a really nice balance to all the elements of the story. I really enjoyed it overall, and I think if you have been following Christine, you can definitely spot a lot of autobiographical elements. I don't know if that made my reading experience more or less, but it was a really interesting thing to notice. And I thought it was so good. It was so good. Obviously, it's not a perfect book. it probably got cheesy at times, so I feel like it could be very hit or miss. But I've already lent it to a friend to see what she thinks, because I just think it's such a fun book, and I'm very proud of Christine. And that is that, because I am a sap, very into travel books and some deeper intellectual meaning, but still fun, blah blah blah. I read Just One Year by Gail Forman. This is the sequel/companion novel to Just One Day. This time we're getting to see things after the events of the halfway point of Just One Day from the guy's perspective. Basically, I thought we would get to see more of the stuff that happens after the end of Just One Day. No such thing, my ladies and gentlemen and gender non-conforming folk. But that being said, this is still a really lot of fun. I just really love Gail Forman. I feel like her books are always just there for me. I didn't like it as much as Just One Day because I just don't think I clicked with the main character as much, but it was still so fun and so hard-hitting. I think it was more of a 3.5, but if you're in need of a holiday read, I'd say this also potentially checks those marks, especially if it's more of a solo travel type of thing. This is just a traveling kind of book to me. And I would, recommend reading Just One Day first, because otherwise it doesn't make too much sense. I then went on holiday to Kerry, which is the whole other side of Ireland, so I wanted some just like really Irish books. I was already in the mood because of Daughter of the Forest by Hewlett Marlier, which was the Myth Take Reads book last month. Yes, basically last month. So, wanted something cute and Irish, and I had quite a few options out from the library. First up, I read Storekeepers Island by Catherine Doyle. You would not believe how many takes it took me to manage to say that. Alas, this is middle grade, which is fun, and it's fantasy, which is also fun, and it's by an Irish author, which, love that. So, it pretty much follows a little boy as his sister and him are sent away to live with their grandfather on an island just off the coast of, I want to say Galway, but I could be wrong, I don't know. So they need to stay there for a while because their mother has checked herself, I think, into an institution to help her cope with her depression, possibly. Their dad has been dead for a while, and it's all a bit odd to get to the island from Dublin because they're city kids, and turns out their granddad is a stormkeeper, so he has magic, and the kid could potentially be the one that gets to inherit the magic and has to keep the island safe from ancient dangers, and it is bonkers. It's really fun. There are some really touching, deeper parts, which, can you tell, I really enjoy. I think it is definitely age appropriate for middle grade readers, except there are a lot of big words being used, which made me very wary as I was reading it, because I know them, and I know you lot would probably know them, but I don't know about the age of 12s, but otherwise, I think she writes really realistic children. I think the sibling bickering is very authentic. This is just really fun. I love the mythology of it. I'm actually really dying to read the sequel, which comes out next month, or I suppose this month when you're seeing this. It's called Lost Tide Warriors. A really good title. Color is gorgeous as well. I've been recommending this a lot in the shop. It's one of my very popular sellers at the moment, so that's exciting. So, if it sounds like something you would be interested in, definitely do pick it up. This is one of my newfound favorites. This was the Myth Take Reads book before, I think, May? Was it May? I don't know. What is time? So I read The Rhine Hunt by Mary Watson, and this came out a bit ago. I've been dying to read it for ages. I saw Mary Watson at a convention, yes, what are words? And she spoke about this, and it was great, and my friends were telling me this is so good, and it's right up your alley, and I was like, oh my god, yes, you're right. I'll read it, and then I didn't, and now I did, and it's so good. It is kind of that Irish witchy YA vibe, except it is also, you guessed it, inspired by Irish mythology and folklore. And you basically follow our protagonist Ren, who is an augur, which is one line of the descendants of the Druids. But there is another line called the Judges, and they're kind of enemies, and she needs to infiltrate the Judges to find out their evil plans to destroy the augurs, who are definitely the weaker of the two branches of Druids. And it's really angsty and has a lot of trees. I wouldn't call it urban fantasy. I think what I would call it is rural fantasy, and it definitely has the lush, vivid Irish setting, and it definitely does a really great job portraying an authentic display of that small community and the tensions within it, and you're thrown into the story from Ren's perspective. So I think it would also be helpful to be hyper aware of that, because I definitely feel like I fell into the trap of being so stuck in Ren's head that I didn't always see what was happening outside the story, and then when things happened, I was taken aback. I was right there with Ren. So I think Mary Watson does definitely write really engaging drama, and her characters are very lifelike, and it's impossible not to fall for them. I just wanted her to be happy, and then she was never happy, and then she was happy for like 2 seconds, but then drama ensued, and it was just a lot to take in. But this is one of the most fun books I've read in ages, and I already requested the companion novel / sequel from my library because I am trash. There is a theme. I told you I read Son of Shadows by Juliette Marillier, and this is the second novel in the Seven Waters series, the first of which is Daughter of the Forest. It turns out this is a generational type series, so we follow the children of the characters we followed in the first book, and I'm well aware these aren't perfect, but I love them, and I'm trash, and I already requested the next one, then bought the one after that, and I'm here for anything this woman ever writes, because she does a great job taking inspiration from myth and folklore and weaving that into her stories. And she does a great job creating these really complex characters. Especially I appreciate her figures of women in fantasy, because I think, you don't always get to see complex, lifelike, authentic women on the page in fantasy when you're reading older things. You can find me, but I'm well aware I am right, So what can you do? So I really appreciate her for that. And she does this thing where the story always takes all these different routes that I never expected to take, and it goes in all these places I never see coming, and I'm stressed, I'm engaged, I'm living my best life. I've never been like this careless when it came to picking up a 650 pages long book. Didn't intimidate me, didn't even faze me. I was just very excited. I love her writing style. I think there's something very almost flowery and poetic about it, but not quite. I don't always love her romances, but she does have a way of turning things around so that even if I wouldn't have necessarily chosen them, I'm still here for it, and I would defend these characters with my life. Again, love this. On the theme of Irish witches, Perfectly Preventable Deaths by Deidre Sullivan is finally out. Can you tell? I absolutely love this with my life. I went to the launch and everything. I love Deidre. I love this book. It's one of my favorites of all time. I cannot tell you. So again, Irish witches, YA, gay, atmospheric, eerie, beautiful. This is definitely more of a reinvented gothic. Love that for me and for you and for the world. We don't deserve it. I was already in love with Deidre's writing because of her short story collection, Tangleweed and Brine, which is a collection of reinvented fairy tales seen through a feminist, darker, modern lens. And this novel has apparently been 7 years in the works, and you can definitely tell because every single word feels intentional and well thought out and a little bit like foreshadowing. I finished the book the day before the signing, and at the signing launch thing, Deidre read the prologue, and I just felt this physical sense of being overwhelmed because of how there is a really nice parallelism and circularity to the prologue and the epilogue. And it's so smart, it's so thought out, it's so beautiful, and it's so dark and gory. I would definitely say if you're not comfortable with gore and more of a visceral read and all of that, maybe don't pick this up, but it is wonderful. So it basically follows a set of twins, Maddie and Kathleen, as they move with their mother to the mother's new husband's house, which is a wee little castle in the fucking woods in the middle of nowhere, which is so spooky. And the castle has all those good things like hidden corridors, an old crone that just glares at everyone, who may be the village witch, possibly. It's just, you know, I love it. And it also, shockingly enough, has one of the best depiction of anxiety / OCD I've seen in a while. So you have witchiness, you have all the good elements of a gothic, but you have it still be centered around these empowered young women. So it's feminist fantasy, gothic, witchy, queer goodness. I can't even keep up with my own words. Can you tell? I just really love this book. I don't have enough words of high praise. It's so atmospheric, it's so lush, it's so dark, it's so beautiful, it's so emotional. Just fucking read it. And finally, the book I'm reading now is The Rest of the Story by Sarah Dessen, because I am trash and I really wanted a good summary read. I was sent this by Jack over at HarperCollins Ireland, which was really exciting. I love this. This basically follows a girl who has to stay with some estranged family members that she hasn't seen since she was a child because her dad is going abroad and there's no one to take care of her, blah blah blah. So she moves to the lake house and she is discovering the family, discovering herself. There's a boy. Ooh, it's soft and also has a really interesting portrayal of anxiety with OCD tendencies. Ain't that great? Can you see a theme? So, very fun, very Sarah Destiny. Just a really good old summer read, you know? I just can't tell you much about it because I feel like it's a Sarah Dessen book. Like, I think we all have certain expectations from Sarah Dessen book. I have no voice left. I'm gonna go make myself either a nice coffee or just get an ice cream and read some more of my Sarah Dessen book, which is going so great. I'm having so much fun. Thank you all very much for watching. Do let me know if you've read any of these books, and I'll see you in my next one.